Hi viewers. I still remember the exact words my father used to describe me. She's the family failure. He didn't whisper it. He didn't say it behind closed doors. He said it openly. At family dinners. At weddings. Even in front of complete strangers. And every time those words left his mouth, a small part of me broke inside. My name is Tara. I grew up in a family where success was everything. My older brother was a doctor. My younger sister became a lawyer before she turned 30. They were the pride of the family. And then there was me. The daughter who chose a different path. The daughter who didn't chase titles or prestige. The daughter who spent years building a small business while everyone else laughed. My father especially. Whenever relatives asked about me, he would smile awkwardly and say, "Tara is still figuring out her life." The room would fill with uncomfortable laughter. And I would sit there pretending it didn't hurt. But it did. More than anyone knew. I worked harder than anyone realized. While my siblings received support, guidance, and financial help, I built everything alone. I took small jobs, worked late nights, skipped vacations, saved every dollar I could. Yet none of it seemed to matter. To my father, success only existed if it came with a title people respected. Doctor, lawyer, executive, not entrepreneur, not dreamer, not builder. Years passed. The distance between us grew larger. Eventually, I stopped trying to earn his approval. I focused on myself instead. My business slowly expanded. One client became 10. 10 became 50. 50 became hundreds. But I never talked about it. I had learned that sharing my victories only invited criticism. So I kept moving quietly. Building, growing, planning. And then one day, something happened that changed everything. A piece of commercial property became available in our city. It was one of the most valuable locations in the area. Investors were fighting for it. Businesses wanted it. Everyone knew whoever acquired it would be making a major move. My father followed the news closely. At dinner, he proudly discussed the wealthy people bidding for the property. "People like that are successful," he said. "Not people who waste years chasing impossible dreams." His eyes landed on me. The message was clear. Everyone at the table understood. I forced a smile and stayed silent. Because what my father didn't know was that I had already submitted my offer. And my name was on the final approval list. Mid conflict and betrayal. The weeks that followed were some of the most stressful of my life. The property deal represented everything I had worked toward. Years of sacrifice. Years of rejection. Years of proving people wrong. I poured every ounce of energy into making it happen. Meanwhile, my father continued treating me like I had accomplished nothing. One evening, I accidentally overheard a conversation that shattered me. He was speaking with relatives in the living room. I wasn't supposed to hear it. But I did. "Tara never lived up to her potential," he said. "Some people simply aren't built for success." The room fell silent. Then someone asked if he was proud of me at all. His answer hurt more than I can describe. "I love her because she's my daughter. But proud? No." I stood frozen in the hallway. Unable to move. Unable to breathe. For a moment, I felt like a little girl again. A daughter desperately seeking approval she would never receive. That night I cried. Not because I believed him. But because part of me still wished he believed in me. Still wished he could see me. The next morning, I made a decision. I stopped chasing his validation forever. If my father couldn't recognize my worth, that was his choice. I would no longer make it my burden. Something changed inside me after that. The pain remained, but it transformed into determination. I focused entirely on the deal. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And finally, the city announced the official ownership meeting. The final names would be revealed publicly. Business leaders, investors, government representatives. Everyone would be there, including my father. He attended because he was curious about the winning bidder. At the event, I sat quietly near the back. Most people didn't even notice me. My father certainly didn't. He spent the entire time speaking proudly with other guests. Then the title officer stepped forward. The room grew silent. The documents were placed on the podium. And the officer began reading. I felt my heartbeat pounding inside my chest. The officer listed legal details first. Ownership transfers, approvals, signatures. Then came the final announcement. The moment everything changed, the officer looked down at the document, adjusted his glasses, and spoke my name. "The approved owner is Tara Williams." For a second, the room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. It was as if time itself had stopped. Then dozens of heads turned toward me, including my father's. The expression on his face was something I will never forget. Shock, disbelief, confusion, and for the first time in my life, silence. Ending, revenge, climax, and moral. The room erupted into applause. People stood. Business leaders approached me. Investors shook my hand. Reporters asked questions. Everyone suddenly wanted to know who I was. The same woman many had overlooked moments earlier. My father remained frozen in place, watching, trying to process what had just happened. The property wasn't just valuable. It was one of the largest commercial acquisitions completed by an independent entrepreneur in the region that year. The daughter he called a failure had quietly become one of the most successful business owners in the city. I wasn't angry. Surprisingly, I felt calm. Years earlier, I might have enjoyed watching him feel embarrassed. But standing there, I realized something important. The greatest revenge wasn't humiliation. It was freedom. Freedom from needing his approval. Freedom from carrying his opinions. Freedom from believing his version of me. Eventually, he approached. For the first time in years, he seemed uncertain. Almost nervous. Tara, he said softly. I waited. He looked down before meeting my eyes. I didn't know. Those 3 words carried years of regret. Years of misunderstanding. Years of judgment. I smiled politely. You never asked. The truth landed harder than any insult ever could. Because it wasn't said with anger. It was simply reality. For years, he had been so focused on comparing me to others that he never took the time to understand who I actually was. He never saw the sacrifices. The sleepless nights. The risks. The battles. The victories. Not because they weren't there. But because he wasn't looking. In the months that followed, our relationship slowly changed. Not perfectly. Not instantly. Some wounds take time to heal. But respect began replacing judgment. Conversations replaced criticism. And for the first time, my father saw me for who I truly was. Not the family failure. Not the disappointment. Not the daughter who took a different path. Just Tara. And honestly, that was enough. Today, when I look back on that chapter of my life, I don't remember the applause. I don't remember the headlines. I don't even remember the property. What I remember is the lesson. Sometimes the people closest to us will misunderstand us. Sometimes they will underestimate us. Sometimes they will place limits on our potential simply because they cannot imagine a different path. But their belief does not define our future. Their doubt does not determine our worth. And their judgment does not decide our destiny. Because success isn't proving others wrong. It's proving to yourself that you were capable all along. And the moment you stop chasing validation is often the moment your real story begins. The moral of the story: never let someone else's opinion become your identity. The people who doubt you may not see your journey, but that doesn't mean your journey isn't leading somewhere extraordinary.